All right, so I want to congratulate you first and foremost. I've sent out a good amount of posts and people they've responded, right? I said, "Who wants to be a published author in 2024?" And I get a lot of hand raises, ah. But guess what? You're the only ones who actually made time and took the necessary steps to be here, right? To secure your spot. And so for that, I want to honor you, and I want to thank you. I'm going to give you as much value as I possibly can in the 90 minutes that we are together. But I also want to share that one of the honestly the biggest reasons are a lot of people we don't reach our goals is because we don't believe that we can. So I want to start today off by stating some of the things that we're going to do in our time together. I want to share my intentions so you know why I'm here. And then I'm going to ask you why you came. And so my first intention is to dispel the belief, right? When you leave here today, I would have succeeded if I've helped you accomplish three things. The first of these, I want to show you and I want you to come to the realization and really truly believe that being a published author is within your grasp now, sooner rather than later. So that's my first intention. My second intention for us being here today is to show you step by step the elements that you're going to need in order to do it. And my third intention is to provide you with an opportunity to get those resources today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year, but to get those resources in order for you to become a published author. Does that sound good? So if it sounds good and you're excited, go ahead and give me a oh yeah in the chat. Go ahead, write oh yeah in the chat. We're gonna be doing a lot of chatting, people. A lot of chatting. If you've met me in person, you know I am a fireball. I'm a ball of energy, and the computer is no different. I had to teach during commute. What is that? Remote learning. A whole bunch of ninth graders. So a lot of energy, and I will definitely keep you engaged. All right, I got a yes from everybody. Okay, so my first thing is I want you to press in. I want you to be present. I want you to not be distracted. Some of us learned this weekend that when we are multitasking, we're actually dividing our attention. So I want you to try to put your phone away. If you have other people around you, ask them to kind of like let you be for the next 75 minutes while we spend this time together. All right. I want you to take notes. I want you to ask questions. And I want you to make friends. These are your sisters, right? And so we're co-authoring. We're also helping to spur one another on. So let's be mindful of that. I believe that some ideas are caught and others are taught. So in the process of me teaching you what I know, if there's anything that you all know that can add value to our time together, please unmic and share it. All right. So at this time, I'm going to do it in the order of the humans that signed on. Just open your mic and let us know why are you here. I'm going to stop sharing for a little bit just so I can see all your lovely faces a little larger. There we go. That's beautiful. So Eugenia, go ahead and share for us. Why are you here, friend? Why are you here? It's so good to see you. So good.
Hi everyone. So I went to the AWP conference in Missouri 2 weeks ago, and expensive, yes, but I encounter an author whose name I can't remember right now. She's published, and we had a chat about ancestors, telling our stories in the middle of this big auditorium. It was like football field type place with all these publishers and all these people. I started bawling, like crying. And thank God I was wearing my mask. So, because, snot and all. So she ended up giving me a tissue. Even though I have tissue, I always have tissue, I always have stuff, but for some reason I couldn't find them because I was so confused. Like, why is she talking to him? Because this is the second person in less than a month or about a month that I've had a conversation with about ancestry and writing our stories and stuff. So when I received your text, Jori, I was like, God, I heard you. You could not make this any clearer. So at the end of the conversation with the lady, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna buy her book. It'll be like $30, and she gets to sign it. I get to put it on my wall of books that I may never read. Um, you know, and I could always say, oh, I met the author, name, claim, and all that. She said, I don't want you to buy my book. I want you to write yours, and I'll love to read it. And all I could tell that lady was thank you, and I walked away. Yeah, so I'm here.
I love that. I love that. Wow. Okay. Uh, Next to log on, Diana. Why are you here? Diane, sorry. You can go ahead and unmute. Share for us a little bit why you are here. What brought you on this journey to desire to be an author, published author? I know you did say you had books that you've already penned, but just again, communal. Why are you here?
Because I've been writing since I was 14. Langston Hughes is my second cousin.
Mm.
We have a lot of writers in the family, and I've been told by too many people that there are things that women need to hear that nobody is saying, that I just speak out to the universe, and that has to be put down on paper and shared. And so I was like, yeah, okay, okay. And so I got busy with family, marriage, divorce, children. Everybody's out of the house, dad's gone.
Mm.
So, it's time. And going to this last conference today, something was said in the beginning, and I said, oh no, God is telling me, hello, it's time. So I have to obey.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your obedience. And so I'm excited for what is to come. I'm super excited. And Melissa, why don't you go ahead and share why you are here? I know it took you a little obstacle to get on, but you are here, and I'm grateful that you are.
So am I, sisters. This is all God. My heart is for my brothers and sisters in regards to health and wellness, and for us honoring our temple and going out and building God's kingdom, as Jesus sends us out. But if you're not well, you won't be able to do the mission. And so um throughout my I've always just been interested in that, but I've felt like there's a book there's so much in me to tell, and I've missed a lot of opportunities. And sisters have said, you should write a book. You could do this, you could do that. But with knowing things take time, and as Diane shared, you have family, you have children, you have a lot. You're dealing with your own issues, and the attacks of the enemy. So now God is leading in one direction, but I know the book is there. And I've always wanted things to be with, well, now it's sisters. So my heart is for my brothers and sisters. People are saying, well, and they don't take it. Like you said, you sent it out to a lot of, it's our ministry. You send it out to our brothers and sisters, and not many people accept it. And on this end, disciples have rejected what I've offered. And so
Mm.
it's like people saying, well, maybe take it outside, but I don't feel like I want to take it outside. I feel like they don't have the information. And my brothers, like you shared yesterday, they need it, right? They need it, and it can help them to go and do God's work, right? Because people outside are using God's methods. They're not disciples, and they're benefiting, like James shared. Love is universal. So God's methods for wellness is universal as well. As long as you put it into practice, it's going to work, And so I feel like now the book, I wanted to do a book, um and it's just there. I know I need to do it, but how it's gonna work out, not sure. Or I've had friends that written book. I'm like, I'm gonna tap them, but things are just so busy. And so yesterday, you came up, you did your session, and I would say the spirit led me to the table, because
Mm.
I didn't have any intentions of going to the table. Not sure. I saw the table set up, not sure but the spirit led me over there, and then saw that thing smack in the middle. about your story. And don't you see, I hopped on that thing, like, and you have all these books, you wrote them, and I'm like, oh, I need to get with her. I need to, because I need to get this. And this morning I'm writing down, I have my titles of what I want to write. I'm like, and they're just popping in my head, like all these different book titles, like, okay, I need to get it out there. So thank
I'm
you. Thank you.
so excited for you guys. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to dive right in. I'm going to share a little bit about how I've got to where I am right now, right? So many of you, you know me in various capacities, right? Maybe you've just met me. Maybe you've seen me in passing, right? Maybe you've been my friend for a number of years. But I got started in this book writing business, honestly, because God led me to my why. And I've heard it said before, especially in the space of coaching, that you need to find the why that makes you cry. And Eugenia, I think you found that why, right? There is a story that God has put on your heart. There's a story of our people that you are begging to share. And so now is the time. And I want to start off by saying that I'm not any more talented than any of you. Honestly, Eugene is probably like the most qualified to write, publish, edit, like all the things with books, right? I am not more talented than you. I'm not more special. God does not love me anymore. But I've made the decision that the why that I have, I grew up in a very strict household and my voice felt stifled amongst my friends. I shape shifted, right? I pretended to be one way with this group of friends and another group with this group of friends. And after a while, I lost who I was. And when you lose your identity, you also lose your voice. And so I had felt that same reoccurring theme coming up after I had given birth to my fourth child. And so I was like, who am I? Like, yes, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a sister in the church, I do tech, I do all these things, and all these other things started to kind of capture my identity outside of who God created me to be. And so it took going into a really dark place. I'm gonna be honest with you. It took me feeling honestly helpless. I teach phys ed. That is my license. That is what I went to school for. That's what my master's is in. And when I tore my ACL and couldn't walk on my own, I was like, we got a house, we got 4 kids. Like, how in the world can I continue to do this work if I can't walk? And as some of you may have seen me right on the dance floor this weekend, like my legs are quite fine, right? God did a healing work in my limbs, but in that moment, I felt absolutely helpless. Like, what in the world are we doing? Because the mortgages still need to get paid. My children still need to eat, right? Um, and so I was like, God, like, what am I here? Like, what's going on? Like, I just give me some direction, give me something. And he said, I need you to stop. I need you to remember why you're here. And I was like, remember, I don't even, when did you tell me? I didn't understand. And it was in that moment that I was like, I'm gonna stop hiding who I am. And I'm gonna start sharing my voice. I'm gonna start sharing my thoughts, my story, my pain, right? The good and the bad. I'm just gonna start sharing. And in part of that sharing, I started to do lives. I started podcasts, right? Like I started just talking and sharing. And a sister randomly, right? You know, a sister, I love some sisters, randomly just sent me an email and said, hey, there's this workshop for book writers. I think you'd like it. I was like, how she knew my journal, right? Like I have in my bucket list, like before I turn 50, I want to write a book. And I was in my 30s and I was like, nah, I'm not, like, I got a little while before I have to check this off. But I attended the workshop and I learned so much. But the one thing that it opened up this thing where I was like, wait, I can do this. I can actually do this. And I honestly believe like that is the start, right? That mindset that I can actually do this. And so each year at the beginning of the year, I read this book called Your Best Year Ever, right? By Michael Hyatt. And he states that unless someone shows us what works best for attaining our goals, we're left up to our own devices and hard knocks to figure it out on our own. And that's why I had spent the next 6 months after learning that I could become an author. I like going and taking this course and this workshop and this YouTube video and this seminar and webinar. And I was just like, okay, I'm getting all this conflicting information. Like, how do you? And so I just stuck with one, the group that said, you know what, we want to honor God with our stories. I worked with them. I learned a little bit, Then I worked with another coach, and then I learned a little bit. And before you know it, like I was spending like thousands upon thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, tapping into my, I'm not proud of it, 401k to pay for this knowledge. And so I'm like, this is expensive. This is not cheap, right? Eugenia just came from a conference. Like, it's not cheap. Like, this knowledge, it feels like it's hidden behind this gate, this wall. And so while, yes, I want to share with as many people as possible, I had been giving it away for free, just giving it away, right? Very similar to Melissa, just giving it away for free. And it really felt like that scripture of throwing pearls to pigs. People weren't, they weren't honoring the time that they said, oh yeah, I'm going to come to the workshop and I'm not coming. Or yes, I'm going to do the exercises and the things that you told me to do to help write the book, and they're not doing it. Or like, and I'm like, you know what? You have your life, but I want to work with people who are actually serious about this. Because my why now is to help unlock women's voices, to help get their stories out to as many people as possible. That's my why. I do it through podcasts. I do it through writing books. I do it through mentoring the girls in my phys ed classes. That's my why. And so I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that we get to experience this time together. And I'm happy that I get to share the things that took me, honestly, about 18 months. And I'm not even gonna tell you how much money, but a lot. My husband kept looking at me like, why are you again? But I figured out a system. And after I figured out the system, I wrote my first book, 2022. And then 7 months later, I published my second book. And then 3 months after that, I published my third book. And then the fourth. And then the fifth. And then I have too many books that are digital downloads on Kindle about parenting and about just dividing your time as a mom. Like, how do you raise your kids when you have all the things and doing all the stuff, right? And so I figured out, like, this is a system. I cracked the code. Like, I know how to put out books fast, and they're not like poo-poo, right? Like, they're of decent quality, like they're good. I said, I'm not gonna say I can do this unless I help other people do it. And so over the last year and a half now, I've been helping other women just like you write their books, craft their stories, right? Pull it out of them, make it make sense, put it in a systemized structure, helping people go from one point to the next point seamlessly, and then turning it into a published book. And so I want to stop all the talking on my end, and I just want to share with you what God has blessed me to know. All right. If that's okay with you, I want you to go ahead and give me a thumbs up, either physically or virtually. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to rock and roll and to learn a lot of good stuff today. Let me get the thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Let me get 2 thumbs up. On 2. Yes. Oh, I got a virtual thumbs up from Melissa. Yes, let's do it.
Oh,
See,
I'm like, okay, did I do it right?
Mine is there too. It's just my skin is darker.
It's hidden behind the Nefertiti. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share screen. And we're gonna go through this workshop. This is an actual like implementation workshop. So I hope you have paper and pen nearby, because I'm gonna ask you to start ideating. I'm gonna ask you to start creating outlines and charts and graphs. And I mean, the titles, Melissa, amen. God has already started you on the path, but we're gonna work, right? You're not just sit here and listen to me and look at some slides. I could have sent you a recording if that's what we're gonna do, but we're gonna work. We're gonna converse. We're going to have conversation, and we're going to go deeper with this. I'm going to figure out how to share my screen. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. There it goes. Okay. I keep losing my buttons. All right. So here we are today. All right. And so one of the first things that I love to start authors off with is figuring out the purpose of you writing this book. And so sometimes people come with different ideas of what purpose is. So I like to give definitions. And so your purpose, the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. So I need for you to answer, and you don't have to share with me, but I need you to know for yourself, again, figuring out that why. Because as you go through writing, enemy's going to come and attack you. Life is going to throw you curveballs, going to throw you fastballs. If you don't remain true to the reason that you're writing this book, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to stop. If you don't figure out now why you're even doing this in the first place, not only will you hesitate to start, but you won't finish. I know that for a fact. I've worked with, I tell you what, in terms of ratio, only one woman has not finished her first manuscript. Only one. And again, I've been doing this over 18 months. Only one. I don't want you to be added to that number, right? Like, I want you to be added to the number of women who I've helped publish, right? And again, if you have your manuscript already together and it's just publishing the book, right? So this is one of the first books I helped publish. I don't know if you could see it. There's like a ring light and my whole virtual background, right? Eugenia, I think you might be interested in this, right? And so she came with a manuscript and she had been sitting with this manuscript for 3 years. For 3 years. 3 years, she had a finished manuscript, sent it to an editor, pay this guy money, and had sat with it. It just sat in her computer for 3 years. And literally, after a weekend of us talking, she sent me the document. I had to publish for her by Monday. It does not take long, but it takes you actually sharing and figuring out why you're doing this in the first place. Okay, so I share with you my story. When you were growing up, maybe you never thought about writing a book in your entire life. Maybe you had other dreams. Maybe you had other goals. Maybe you've been on this writing journey for quite some time. You've read the books. You've done all the YouTube university, right? You looked into writing courses and you attended other webinars, maybe even writing seminars. But at some level, I don't think you believed that you could actually do it. Maybe you said it wasn't the right time. Maybe you say you didn't have the time. Maybe you said that there were other things that were calling your attention. If you don't figure out this why now, again, I can't stress how important it is for you to figure this out now at the beginning. Because when the things start hitting you, that's the thing that you need to hold on to. The second thing, I want to go on for the sake of time. Who are you writing this book for? If you're like me, you have all these different probably ideas that are going through your head. I can write a book about this. I can write a book about that. I want you to narrow down your ideal reader avatar. And so sometimes when I use this word, people don't understand what it is, but a reader avatar is just a reader persona. It's a reader profile, a detailed description of one person who will absolutely love your book, right? This one person, they have a name, they have an age, they have a specific job, or maybe they're unemployed, maybe they're empty nesters, maybe they're retirees, right? And when you describe them, anyone that you're talking to can build like a mental picture of that person. And so one of the exercises that I love for people who work with me to do is to go on Google, use a magazine, and actually cut out a picture of their reader avatar and put it where they write at. So every time they go to that space, they have a post-it of their why, and they have a picture of the person to whom they're writing. Because when you make it personal, it means something. Abstract ideas, abstract desires, no. If you've ever had a goal that you've achieved, you've made it specific, measurable, right? You've made sure that it is achievable, realistic and relevant, and that it's time bound. You've done all those things. This will be no different. So creating that reader avatar, that reader persona is really, really crucial in terms of even how you're going to build out this story. So I'm going to share to you a method that I've created to help write books super fast with very clear goals, clear intentions, and with only using, wait for it, 30 minutes a day. If I told you you could write a book in 30 minutes a day in the next 3 months, would you believe me? I got 2 shaking heads, yeses, and I got a raised eyebrows from Melissa. Okay. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna break it down. Before I go on, I like to get some feedback, make sure I'm not moving on too fast. Share with me one aha since we've started. Put it in the chat, or you can turn on your mic, unmute. One aha, because I saw your faces as I was talking, and I saw the eyebrows and I saw the head, right? I saw the body language, but let's share it out loud. Let's make it actual, right? Let's express it. Share with me one aha, either in the chat or out loud. What's one thing that you've gotten so far from our time together?
You said writing in 30 minutes. I mean, my eyebrows went up, but I'm like, because I know writing is an issue for me, grammar. That's one of the reasons why I think also I put the book on the back burner, because maybe it's a lie from the enemy. Well, your grammar is this, that, blah, 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 when it comes to writing. But the 30 minutes, in light of all that I have right now, I'm like, 30 minutes, that's a ha-ha for me.
Okay.
All of the 2, 4, 6, the 6 boxes that I've made and put stuff in it. There are 2 memoirs, 2 poetry, 1 novel, and contemporary spirituality. That's feminine psalms, because we are not men, and we don't think like men, and we're more humble than men tend to be. I am the avatar in most of these stories. Like I wrote, I think my name is Run, because my mom called me to tell me her name was not Jamesina, it was Jamie Eva. And I said, if I had known that, I would have named my daughters after you. And so then I called the woman that raised me, which was her sister. And I said, Ma, what's your name? I'm not telling you. And she would not tell me. I said, oh, okay, don't worry about it. Spell it. I'll pronounce it. She said, no. And she died, and I never knew her name. And she had her birth certificate changed. So I said, wow, I wonder what it must feel like to be orphaned in a family of your own blood and not know who your source is. Because it was after that happened that I realized that my aunt was my real bio mom. And so I wrote, I think my name is Run, which is set in Africa, ends in the country of Georgia, during slavery. And the boy he adored his great grandmother, and the white people came into the village, and she picked him up and ran with him until she dropped him. And she said, go down, hide by the river until the sun comes up. And he just stood there, 2 years old, stood there. And she said, run. And he took off and got hit in the face. And the story goes on from there. So
wow.
It takes that entire story, all 18 or 21 chapters, before he realizes what his name was. And then, of course, 2718 was my shield number, because I was a paramedic, and it's stories about life as a Harlem, New York City paramedic, female. And so I'm the avatar.
And that is actually that's probably, I think, the best understanding that anyone has ever attended one of these workshops has come away with, because most of the time the stories that we write are honestly to ourselves 2, 3, 10, 20 years ago, right? These are stories that we are like, if I had this, this many years ago, like I would be different. I would
That's
move different. And
that's
so often the person that we're writing to is really us, former us,
that's right.
right? And so I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And Eugenia put in the chat that writing to a specific person, right? Making it personal. That was her aha. And so I want to go through this method because I think Melissa, definitely it'll help shed some light on this 30 minutes I'm talking about to you. And I absolutely agree with Eugenia. Grammar, that's a trick of the enemy. Absolute trick of the enemy. And I'm gonna share with you, because I like you. I'm gonna share with you one of my secrets in how I can churn books out so fast. All right. So again, if you're ready to learn my right now method, I want you to put oh yeah in the chat. Go ahead and put a oh yeah in the chat. And I don't care how you spell it. Let me see in the chat. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All caps. Love it. Oh yeah. Come on, Eugene. My writing friend. Oh yeah. All right. We got some hand waving. Woo, in sign language. I love it. Okay, so right now method is to first write. And for me, writing 30 minutes a day does not involve all the time a keyboard. It does not involve all the time a writing utensil. Often the 30 minutes of days that I write is in my car ride on my commute to work, or it's in the shower when I first wake up. For some reason, when water hits my body, I start ideating, like all the thoughts, all the things start coming. And so what I've done is I've taken my phone, I've put it on a high shelf, either in the shower or I turn it toward me while I'm driving, kind of like I'm looking at directions, but I know where I work, so I'm not really looking at the directions. But I turn on the talk to text button and I just speak. I start off with maybe sharing an idea, right? An element of the story. If it's a fiction thing that I'm trying to write, if it's a memory that I've had, I'm trying to retell like who said what to where and the perspectives. But I'm doing that for 30 minutes. And here's the crazy part. It's not adding any more time to my day. My attention is not really divided because I've bathed before. Like I know where everything is. These are regular things that I do every day when I'm driving to work. I am legit like I've worked here for 8 years. I know exactly where I'm going. The street didn't change. The school didn't move. I know exactly where I'm heading to. And now my 30 minutes, instead of it being listening to a podcast, well, I love listening to podcasts and audiobooks, but if I'm trying to write a book, I structure my time very differently. And that is my focus. Again, why are you writing this book? What is the purpose? Because if your purpose is to really share your story, then you will make time. This is not about finding, this is about creating different pockets of time in your day. All right. And so the writing could be 30 minutes when you first wake up. It could be journaling, right? It could be typing, whatever works best for you. But I talk a lot. I mean, a lot. And so for me, talking to text, super simple, super easy. The R is for retelling the story. So after I write, I pause. I walk away from what I've written and then I come back to it. And when I come back, I try to retell the version of the story, maybe some of the holes in this story. If it's a personal experience, maybe try to, oh, okay, and then this happened. I didn't remember before, but now I'm retelling the story. And after I do that, I then go share it with a friend. So I talk again, talk a lot. And so I'm telling this story to a friend. And there are things that we share and we tell people all the time, every day. People come to us and they ask us super specific questions about these things. Why do they keep? Because we've told them something that's given some value, help solve a problem, help ease a pain, and us telling them these things. And so I find those same people, and when I'm kind of going through, again, the persona, who am I writing this to? I find that person right away, like, you actually could benefit from what I'm writing because you're struggling with the same things I struggled with before. So let me share with you. And so I do the retelling. And then I get that feedback. And when I get that feedback, I itemize it and I index it. Okay, is this portion of material that I've written, is this a chapter? Is like, this is a main focus of the chapter? Is this kind of like a sub story? Does this connect with my through line? Right. And we'll talk about all those words in the story. Does this fit? And so I have, you can see my desk, it's a hot mess, but I have tons of Post-its all over the place. And I put subject, I put the title of that little excerpt, that story. And then again, I have a color coordinator. So this goes to one story. I can tell you all my secrets. This goes to another story. This goes to another story, right? I have 3 different, you have the same ones, right? I index it and I itemize it. I make sure that they stay separate. And sometimes they end up switching. So I might need to change the colors or put them in a different place. And then transcription. Because while I'm talking to text, unless you're the type of like, I'm gonna say I'm a little unique. I actually say comma, period, exclamation, as I do my transcription from talk to text. If you're like, nobody, oh my gosh, like ain't nobody got time for that, no problem. For those 30 minutes, you can go to a website called otter.ai. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you. Okay, otter.ai. Those 30 minutes for free. This does not cost you any money. If you go to otter.ai and you put that MP3, right? If you record it on your phone, say it's just voice memo, you can record it on your phone, take that MP3 file, upload it into otter.ai. And as long as it's under 30 minutes, they will transcribe it for you. Punctuations, periods, capitalization. If you're talking, right? Dialogue, they do all that for you. From your 30-minute MP3. If it's over 30 minutes, they're going to want you to pay some money. So you, again, 30 minutes is a sweet spot. That's a sweet spot. If you want it for free, let's stay under that 30 minutes. I try to keep mine at 27 because I don't like kind of, what if I mess a button or something? So that, right? I transcribe what I've written and then I take that and I have an Excel file in the one book and I copy and I paste that transcription. And then at the bottom under the tab, I put the title. Again, you can do the Post-its, or if you're a little more fancy, a little more technologically savvy, you can put it in an Excel file. Just boom, copy and paste, put it there with that title. And then when you're ready, you just shift those buttons. Okay. I got to kick some kids off the devices. My situation is slowing down. But you can then move those chapters around as you see fit, super easy. And then when you're ready to create that into an actual book, it's literally copy and paste. And I have some software and some websites that I can share with you for free that will format it for you. Format it. You tell them the size of the book you want and they'll format it for you. No problem. Again, all this is free. I spent a lot of money. I was like, I'm not trying to spend all this money again. I know there has to be a better way. And I found that way. And so edit. So Melissa, do not worry about your grammar. Because there are things that exist like Grammarly. God bless Grammarly. Grammarly can be your first rough edit. All of my books now, they go through a human. Right? I have a line editor, right? I have a human that edits it and then calls me and says, this is trash. Why did you, this don't make no sense here. But I love those people. I love them because they ain't going to have me out in these streets looking crazy, publishing a book and everything's a hot mess, right? So I have publishers, but that first round of edits, I use Grammarly. After Grammarly does this thing, I do it a once over, and then I share it. Who am I sharing this book to? It's not published. Who am I sharing it to? I actually share it with my reader persona. I find people who I feel they would enjoy this. They would gain something from this. They would benefit. They would learn. They would be encouraged. This could help them, right? Melissa, these same people that come to you asking you for advice. I'm not giving them my whole book. Come on, I give them a chapter. One of the most enriching, richest, I mean, you read this chapter and you're like, I want some more. That's why we need a reader persona.
Because like I read your book today. I started reading your book and I'm like, I can't put it down. So, yep, you got it.
I appreciate that. But again, you share that chapter because not only are you helping to figure out, is this book going in the right direction for where I'm trying to go? Or do I need to kind of do a turn? Do I need to shift? Do I need to pivot? Maybe that chapter should be taken out the book totally altogether because it doesn't match, right? But in the process of us sharing it so that we can get feedback through the editing process, I'm also getting my readers list. I'm building my launch team. I'm starting my marketing. Because if that person likes my chapter, they're going to tell another person. They're going to tell another person. And I put my chapter on a doc that allows first for me to get their email address. I'm going to build an email list of people who love what I write. So that when my book is ready to publish, I'm not hoping, wishing, praying, God, please, someone read it. Please, please, please. I already got a list of folks who already know because they're my reader avatar. I got a list of people who going to buy my book. I don't, right? That takes the guesswork. That's like, they like me already. They like it already. I don't have to worry. I don't have to guess. They like it already. And as you know, when people like something, they tell other people about it and they tell other people about it. Right. And so this method is not just for writing the book. It's not just for getting it out of your head onto a piece of paper. It's not just for publishing, but it's also for making profit from your book. Raise your hand if you want to write a book and give it away for free. No? No, sisters? No? No free gifts for the people?
No,
I didn't think so.
we pay for everything.
Exactly. So why are we wasting time trying to figure out if we can sell it? Why not figure that out as we write it so that it ensures us when we're done, we already have purchasers? Does that make sense? All right, let's go on. All right, I'm not trying to scare you. Well, I need to be clear. Let me be clear with you. What you're looking at is a graphic for author statistics from the year 2022. So it's about 2 years old. And so I'll share with you the parts that I think are most alarming and important. Okay, so this is zero. Zero is no money. Zero is free. I just asked you, how many of you wanted to write your book and give it away for free? And no one raised their hand. So I want you to see the statistics. These are the aspiring authors. These are the people who, I'm going to write a book one day. You know what? Once people are out the house, once my job is secure, once I retire, once, right? They're waiting for this perfect moment that does not exist and will never come. So they start writing their book. Aspiring authors, 90% of them make no money because they never actually write and publish a book.
Question.
Yes, I love questions.
Is this color coded?
Yes.
So 0 is all those people?
Yes, blue. All the blue,
Yeah.
0. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's move to self-published. Self-published, 20% make no money. Why? Because they haven't figured out who they're writing their book to. They haven't created a system to sell it in advance. And they have no way of tracking who's buying it so they can tweak it, adjust it. Here's the cool thing about when you publish your book on your own, you can adjust, readjust as much of your content as you desire to. I've changed my covers. I've added chapters. I've added journal entries. I've added talking prompts. And you can do whatever you want to because it's yours. You don't have to go through several channels. It's yours. But 20% of self-published authors make no money. But of those who self-publish, 60%, you see from the 20, right? From this 20 here to around this 80%, make at least $1,000. At least. So I did some math when I got home
That's not
from this
rent.
weekend alone.
That's not
I
even rent.
say what now?
That's not even rent.
It's
$1,000.
not rent. No, no, absolutely not. No, no. But again, marketing is everything. From today alone, I made almost $400 just from selling the books over the last 2 days. Me, I'm self-published. Self-published. Technically, I'm hybrid. Actually, I'm hybrid because I go through a publishing company, but I am that publishing company. So it's a little weird, a little strange, but I'm in this area, hybrid, right? But I wasn't self-published and I did fine. I'm doing fine. I'm actually up here, right? In terms of book sales. But your book doesn't just remain a book. When you write a book, you go into this little area of knowledge workers, experts, people who know what they're talking about. And you know what you can do after that? You can get in front of people. You can get on stages. You can start coaching. You can start consulting. The book opens the door for so much stuff. Yes, Melissa. Tell me.
So yes, you made those sales and it was an event that you already planned. So it's not like you were already going there and it didn't cost you nothing because it's something that you already had set up. Um, so that's another way. That's almost like free money. Let's put it that way. Or you recoup your marriage payment, your marriage retreat payment.
I did. And even the food and the babysitting, everything. So it paid for itself.
Right.
But
A
I also
few
went
hours.
yeah, right. And so I also went to the 40th anniversary of the New York City Church of Christ, and I had my own table there. So again, these are things that I'm already going to.
Right.
It's not taking extra time out of my, like, I'm already going to church. I'm already going to the marriage tree. Like, I'm already going there. But here is what's possible when you have a product to sell, when you have something that people actually want. Right. And so traditionally published, this is where everybody desires to go. And to be honest with you, like, I want to go there like at least once in my life. Like once I just want to like submit a manuscript. I've tried. I've actually gotten 2 deals. I told both of them down. One was to Penguin, one was to TBN. I turned them both down. They wanted to change my cover. They wanted to change my title. They wanted to adjust my content. And they were only going to give me, they said I kept 100% in terms of ownership of the book, but the royalties, they said I can earn royalties up to 75% after I gave them back whatever monies that they spent or used to market me, to edit, to do all the things. And they wanted to put me like on this like year-long payment plan. And I was like, wait, so I'm paying you, wait, so you didn't give me no money? Wait, I don't, what? Wait, I said, are you going to help me write the book? They're like, no. Wait. So you're not going to help me? You're not going to help me write the book. You're not going to help me. You're just going to publish it. You're going to take whatever I do. You're going to publish it, but you're going to change it all. You're going to change the cover, change the title, change it. Nah, I got to say no. I'm sorry. I got to say no. And so I did not. I did not sign with them. And I did not sign with Penguin either. I didn't sign either one. So the dream is still alive. One day published author, possibly. But again, this hybrid situation, I'm doing good. I'm actually doing pretty good. And so traditionally published authors, you see this still again, this zero. These are people who have submitted their books. Maybe they've gotten literary agents. They've gotten an actual publishing house to represent them to publish their book. It's in print. You can buy it. But they did not figure out who they were writing this book to. When you create a book submission, you write down, how will you market this book? What networks do you have? This is part of what they ask you to do before they publish your book. So you can write, my book is similar to this one. This is this demographic. I'm part of these organizations. You can write all that and they publish it. But again, you don't have any proof that people are actually going to like it. You haven't given them your chapter download. You haven't gone and asked them to read bits and pieces and excerpts of your book and give you feedback so you can adjust it. You haven't done that. So they publish your book. They say, hey, here's an advance. Here's a couple $1,000. Take this. You're like, yes, I made it. I got a published book, got a deal, I got money. And if you don't pay that money back, they take it back and they take your books back. If you don't recoup the money that they give you, it's an advance. It's not payment. It's an advance on the book sales, the book tours, the speaking gigs. It's an advance. And so you see this 20%. It's almost the same amount of people who are traditionally published through a publishing house and who self-publish, the same percent. They're not making any money from their book. Yes, this is a smaller gap in terms of those who only earn about $1,000. But if you look at the top, highest earners, highest are this hybrid. And they're also the lowest amount of people who don't make any money from their book. Less, it's about 6%. 6% of people who do hybrid do not make money. Everyone else, you make something. Yeah, I think we lost Diane. You are. She came back. Wait, no. Melissa raised the hand. Okay. Diane has the.
I was going to mention about Diane, but you.
Yeah, she could come back in. She has the link. The link didn't change, and I actually didn't let anyone in. It's an automatic, like you push a button, you come. Right. So what are your thoughts about this? I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. What are your thoughts? I see some head scratching. I see some eyes. I see some rubbing of faces.
No, I think it's good. As I mentioned yesterday, because you're why I'm doing it for my family. Like you said, health and wellness. I need to be able to have something else coming in as opposed to just me, because I've been down, and when you're down, you can't do anything. Like you said, you couldn't do anything. So that's one of the reasons. But the Proverbs 31 woman, she had 9 businesses or several businesses. She had money coming in all over the place. So, every little bit adds up. So just to get it started and have something money coming in, I'll be grateful, because while you still have your regular job, something's they call it side hustle, side income. You have something coming in on the side until that side hustle can become your full-time gig, but to start and to have something come in, I'm just thankful for that. And then the other thing is, if I'm doing it from my home-based business, then you can write off. I don't know if you know this, to Jori, Eugenia, home-based business gets more tax benefits than a regular business, right? So that's a bonus. That's one of the reasons. That's one of my why I need to get this home-based business going, because I can get all this tax write-off. And I got to tell you, Jori, you got to put your kids on your books. You got to let them be a model for you, because you can pay your kids up to $12,500. Okay. I don't know if you know that. I don't know. But so that's so that's what I want to get going. And I want to get because we got to get our money back. We keep giving it out. We don't get any money back. Everybody knows this system but us. Okay. And God revealed that to me. We need to get on this where we are getting our money back. Instead of us using our paycheck to take care of everything else, we have a home-based business. Everything is business, baby. Your kids working, the government allows your kids to work for you tax-free, right? So find something for them to do. You got 4, I got 4. I'm like, I can't wait to get this business. I need to get a business off the ground so we can get this money back. So we can keep it, and just like everybody else building their generational wealth, I mean, we can build it for ourselves. God is showing it to us. Like, we got to get on this path. Like you said, those who want to do it, not everybody want to do it, but okay. So that I'll take the little because I'll get the tax write-off, and that will make it a big, big, big piece of the pie. So that's my take on that. That's good. I guess something back. I guess something.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa, for sharing that. I never really thought of that, you know. So that's something else I'm getting from this tonight. I think for me, I think I just want to get started and prepare for whatever it is, whether it's sending my work out, because I met, in addition to meeting this wonderful lady that I met at the AWP, I met some wonderful publishing, and I had this great conversation with this lady. She ended up giving me like 2 books. And so they want me to submit things, and I'm like, I'm going to submit. And then we met a guy at the hotel who was part of the conference as well. He said, you need to prepare for those rejections. He prepares for them. And I think in a year, he said he had like 85 or 87 rejections. And to be able to do it hybrid, to be able to do your own self-publishing and at the same time send it out, and just seeing what happens and trusting God through this process. Because again, God is allowing me to be in this position, and I can't say no to it anymore. I wrote my thesis in 2016. And people are like, oh, you should send this out. You should send this out. And Jori, stop with that face. Um, yeah, stop with that face and everything else. Yeah, she's one of those people. Send this out, send this out. And yeah, I need to do this. I don't have the writing space because my house is a mess. My apartment is a mess. But the talk to text thing, I know I'm going to be able to do, because I tell my student that all the time. If you cannot write, like figure, sit there and type or longhand, talk it out, and then you can always transcribe it after, because that's how I end up with my 100 and something page thesis. So I just recorded people, mothers and daughters. I love this idea of mothers and daughters. We have a lot of girls in my family. They are actually it's a version of me, but a younger version of me is my avatar. But it was nice to hear that question, to be able to go back to who am I writing this for, right? It's not to whom it may concern, it's to Eugenia at 18, Eugenia at 10 years old, and who, and then I see my nieces, I see myself in my nieces and all of them, even the ones that were not born here that I just met, I'm like, oh, so you and I are going to have to fight before we become best friends, because you being sassy, because then that's me when I was 12 years old. So thank you guys for this.
Thank you for being here. And Diane, you didn't miss too much. I figured your computer died. It happens all the time. Computer dies, you get on the phone. Yeah, I get it. But you here. You came back. And you also muted. I don't know if you know that.
Okay. It didn't die. It literally stopped. You froze mid-sentence from hybrid. And I said, this ain't nothing but Satan. And so I figured out, all right, what do I do? Put her on the phone, turn everything off, and come back. So
crazy. I had to restart my computer. I got on at 5:10. By 5:15, everything froze, Zoom froze, everything shut down, like my presentation stopped. And so I was like, I felt like this might happen. So I restarted everything, and I was like, at least it happened before. So I'm okay.
yeah.
Didn't happen during.
Oh my goodness.
So that I want to move on. But yes, Melissa, I have a home-based business. I write off the room that I'm in. It is my office. I run off our garage because it houses all of our equipment for our rentals, for our DJs, for all that stuff. My husband has an office we've sectioned off in the basement. We write that off. My children are my models. They work my front desk when we do live events. They sell tickets when I promote on our website and our Instagram. They model, they do the games. I create commercials with them in it. So yeah, I feel you. I'm not I'm not new to this. Right? So I have been able to benefit tremendously from having a home-based business. And now with this additional income of book selling, like it's definitely made things a lot easier financially. So let's go into time management, productivity hacks, and figuring out a way so we get these books done. You guys ready?
So what you said in regards to some of those people that put up their publishing, they never get published. This thought just came to me as I was listening to Eugene, and it came back. My father-in-law wrote a book many years ago, and he's sitting on the book. You know, he has the manuscripts. And I thought about what you shared. He has it sitting on, and he also sings. Well, now he did a song. It's not out there, but he did create a song, and he was sharing it with us. It's a really nice. But so I'm like, oh, this is good, because it's just sitting there. So people write, like you say, and they have it there.
And so we're going to figure out now together collectively how you don't end up in that same space, right? Like, Diane, we got to get those delicious books out of those boxes and into people's hands.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So let's figure out how we're going to do this. All right.
Now, question.
Yes.
When you were talking about the home office, because I have a home office, do you deduct that from your taxes?
Absolutely. The lights, the heat.
Okay. Yes.
When I go to the restroom, the water.
Yes.
Parts of my mortgage.
Okay.
I write all that off. It's tax deductible.
Yes.
And I have an accountant who makes sure that all my itemization is done properly. It's on the books, right? He's a disciple. It's legal. It's ethical, right? Okay. I'm not trying to take no shortcuts or lie or cheat or steal. And so if I put down something and he's like, that's a no-no, then I'll write next. Or he'll say, hey, did you add this? Did you think about that? Right? And so where we are right now, we are running out of space because we have 4 children, right? So we're running out of space a little bit. And so we're trying to figure out creative ways. Like, I think the next step is getting a virtual office, but even that is tax deductible, right?
Okay.
When I want to meet and have like workshops in person like this, I want to be able to go to a nice, beautiful place, an office, so we can ideate together and like, right, do the things and be in person. Because I think there's a synergy that's lost. Like, while I'm grateful for this, there's something that's lost from us not being in person. And so I want to create those experiences for people. But I want to share first how to tackle the writing's block. And so there's 3 things: planning, accountability, writing tools, and hacks. And what I'm going to do, I want to share a document with you all, actually. Let me stop sharing. Let me get the document. This document is part of my online course. And so I have an online course. It's called Write Your Book Now Challenge. It's a 5-day challenge. I'm not trying to sell it to you right now. If you want to get it, you can, but it's a 5-day challenge that kind of jumpstarts your writing process, right? And it goes through things step by step so you can rewind and review, but it also has a workbook. And so what I would actually like to do is to give you the workbook because you made it, right? You showed up, you came, right? And so I'm going to give you day 4, and that's going to have more details about the slide that I'm about to go over. My only request, here's my only request: please make a copy. I'm sharing like a live Google Doc. So like, you start writing and doing things and moving things around, bad things happen. And I know everybody's not computer savvy, so I don't want to share with you a PDF because some people, they know how to open them, other people don't. But I figured if it's a Google Doc, you can make a copy. So please make a copy before you start touching and moving or whatever. But that document has literally been like the game changer in terms of me planning, writing, and developing my stories as I start. And so I'll share screen again, and I'll go back through the rest of the presentation. We don't have too many slides left for that. I'm looking at this. I'm going to present this. Yes, present. And for whatever reason you are there, that doesn't seem proper. I'm gonna go there because that seems proper. Okay. So, all right, I did share the right thing. It was telling me something else. So strategy, planning. Uh, every time I work with a writer, I tell them that you have to first start in the mind of your avatar, right? You have to start, if I am reading this book, I am experiencing this pain point. I'm experiencing this problem. I don't know how to do this thing. And so that is Pain Island. And so all of our readers start off in Pain Island, right? There's this thing that they're missing, this thing that they don't know, this thing that they aren't aware of yet, this problem that they have that needs solved. They are in pain. They're experiencing some sort of pain, some sort of lack. And so that Pain Island is where they start. And so usually that's how I build the story. Where are you starting from? And then I take them through this journey. And the journey has highs, it has lows. Sometimes it has peaks, valleys, right? There's always a climax, there's a resolution. But there's this journey that we're going. I have to figure out what is going to solve that problem. What's going to help them the most to get from wherever they are, whatever that lack is, what's going to help them get from pain to Pleasure Island. And then I start with the end in mind. I start at Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island is possibly having more confidence. Pleasure Island is possibly knowing who I am and my true identity because I understand my ancestors. Pleasure Island could possibly be understanding how the things that God has made, how they feed and fuel my body in a way that promotes health, that promotes wellness. So wherever that Pleasure Island is, that's where we're going to start. And then we're going to break off into subtopics from that Pleasure Island. Maybe it's health, maybe it's fitness, maybe it's wellness, maybe it's understanding who you are, maybe it's understanding your ancestors, maybe it's knowing what your real name is, right? What are the subtopics that we can have from that Pleasure Island? And then again, I do the post-its. I gotta separate these things because this is what's going to help me figure out chapter 1, chapter 2, right? What stories should I add to chapter 1? And then when I'm done with all the things, I take a look back and I say, these 3, they don't add to the journey from pain to pleasure. They actually detract. They take away from that. So I remove those I remove them. Why? Because I know where I'm going. I know where I want my reader to end. I know the problem they have and I know how to solve it. I know. So I want to walk them through how to do that. Right? And so that's the planning. So I want you to write these questions down. When you identify your chapters, is this information absolutely necessary for your reader to receive the desired outcome? Is this information needed? Is this going to help them? Is this going to make them more confused? Does it help? Does it add to what they're doing? Second question you want to ask is this information something that you can discuss in depth and at length? If anyone asks me like, Jori, how do you publish a book? Oh, well, do you have a couple hours? Because I can tell you, and we can converse and I can go really in depth because I spend so much time, so much energy, and a lot of money to learn what to do and what not to do. I did not go to school for writing. I don't want you to get confused. That's not me. That's Eugenia. I know we look alike sometimes, but I didn't do that. Right? Like, I went to school to be a teacher. My master's is in teaching. But guess what? God called me to do something different. And so by me showing up, by me using my voice, I give you permission to do the same. And that's what your book needs to do. Your book needs to give others permission to solve that problem, permission to change their mindset, permission. Your book needs to help solve that problem. The last one, is this information an area of my expertise? And again, experiences make you the expertise. You don't need to have 75 degrees. And this was the conversation we were having the other day, Melissa. You don't need to be a dietitian. If you've done things that have helped you and countless other women, You're an expert in that. And so the purpose of us writing this book is to solidify our expertise. It's to solidify our story. It's to solidify it. We don't have to convince anyone of anything except ourselves. And sometimes that's the hardest person to convince. Okay, accountability. I do a word strategy. And so, Eugene, you might be familiar with this. I go for 30 minutes, either typing, talk to text, whatever it is, 30 minutes. And once I get to that 30 minutes, if you do it on a Google Doc, there's a little button at the top that says tools. So drop down and you see word count. And so maybe in that 30 minutes, I've come up with, say, 300 words, right? 300 words in 30 minutes. Not horrible. The type of book that I want to write is a nonfiction memoir. Okay, cool. Nonfiction memoirs run between about, say, 50 to 70,000 words-ish. So I do the math. It takes me 30 minutes to write 300 words, and I want to write at least 50,000 to 70,000. So I go backwards. How many days is it going to take me to get to that number? And this is very similar to what, for at least from what I've heard, how doctoral students write their dissertations, right? How they finish it. They figure out how many words can I write in this amount of time, and then they work backwards, and that's how they do the planning. Authors do the same thing. Word counts. There's a picture that I got wind of one of Ernest Hemingway's like first manuscripts for one of the books he was writing, and in the little corners were these tiny numbers. And for a long time, people were trying to figure out, like, what are those numbers? Like, is this a secret code? Are these the years? No, that doesn't make sense. And another author came in the room and they were like, oh, that's his word count. They're like, how did you know that? Right? Like all these, like all these architects, they're like, oh my gosh, how did you, what did you? He's like, duh, like that's his word count. And so true enough, he was writing how many words he had written, right? And now we have Google, God bless, Microsoft, right? We have these tools that count the words for us, so we don't have to do that. But word count matters. So if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know how many numbers you're trying to hit, you're not going to be able to structure your time properly. And then a daily plan. When I'm writing, I give myself 3 months. In those 3 months, I'm not doing shows. I'm not doing events. Like, I'm not doing anything outside of what I need to do to get my numbers in those 3 months. Sometimes I write just Monday through Friday. Sometimes I only write 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Everything is dependent on how many words I want to write at the end of this manuscript. And then I just work backwards. Okay, so if you create a plan for yourself in terms of writing, you can hold yourself accountable, but there's other ways to hold yourself accountable. And I'm going to share those with you briefly. Yes, Eugene, you have your hand raised. Love it.
So you have the daily plan. Do you have a hard deadline? Like you say, I'm gonna give myself 3 months, or is it like a soft deadline? Do you play around with those, or is it like really, really strict deadlines?
So
And Melissa had asked a question also about how to copy, so I'm not sure if I wrote something, I'm not sure if she got it.
how do you copy it? I can walk you through that actually. Let me give you day 4. You go here, file, make a copy.
Okay, so open it first.
Yeah, you gotta open it
I
first.
thought I did.
And since we're here, I'm looking at the time. When I was sharing with you guys about Pain Island to Pleasure Island, here are kind of like the 7 areas if you're writing a story like an adventure, right? So it starts off with everyday life. This is where they're starting. A call to adventure, something new happens. There's this thing that sparks, that something changes. Here's where they decide to take go on the journey, not go on the journey, right? And so this is kind of how I write my books. And again, depending on your audience, depending on what type of book you're trying to write, you might want to change this, but where they start and having new insights and a new outlook, that is where they should always end. So 1 and 7 should always be the same. You can play around with 2 to 6, but I have, again, Pain Island to Pleasure Island, and I will give you this as well if it aids you. And I have different questions, like different prompts you can ask yourself along the way, right, to help you kind of ideate and pull out some more ideas. And I would throw that into the chat as well. But to answer your question, Eugenia, about the hard deadline versus the soft deadline, I started writing How to Spot a Fool March of 2022. I didn't publish it until I think May or June of 2023. So even though that was the first book I started, I put a pin in it. And then I wrote History Determines Her Story, How to Have a Revolutionary Walk with God. Like, I wrote other books. I wrote for Christian Daily Living, Christian Women Living magazine. Like, I wrote other things. And that sat there because it was my story. And at the time, and this will happen, I was like, I can't share this. This is too personal. This is too much of my business. I can't put this out there. And so I kept going around and trying to figure out a different way. And then God convicted me one day and he was like, you need to finish what you started. And I was like, amen. Amen. I'll finish what I started. And I went back to it in about 2 months later. So you can have a hard deadline. I would encourage you not to. Right. Just, again, grace, especially if this is like the first time you've published, give yourself grace. But it shouldn't be so soft that like it never happens. Right. So again, the word count, if you know your numbers, then you kind of know like on the calendar where you should end. I would give myself probably like a 1 to 2 week max grace window. Right. So soft deadline, maybe on that 90th day. If you're like you, I would give myself 45. You were 45. I would give myself 45 days. And then my grace would be 60. But nothing past that. For you, Eugenia. Everybody else, you'd be different. But Eugenia specifically, 45 days, soft, hard is 60. I got to poke fun at my friends. I love you so much. And so here, again, are some writing tools that I use. I use speaking prompts. So again, some of those titles, Melissa, that you were talking about before, I get those often. And I'm like, I don't know if these are chapters, if these are sub-chapters, or if this is the title of the whole book. And so I write it down, and then I create speaking prompts like, what do I know about this? Who would benefit from this? Do I have any stories to speak to about this? And then I get all those ideas out, right? Ideate, I brain dump everything out. Again, sometimes using bullet points also helps. Like if I have like what I just shared with you, that document, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I kind of know, okay, this is where we're starting. This is where they have to decide, right? And then this is their rebirth. What does that look like? How many points do I want to have there? Most of the books that I write right now are more devotional books, right? So there are questions, there are prompts, there are reflections. So I definitely, I have to make sure that I stay on my bullet points. If not, like it'll be all over the place. And then you want to expand on each of those prompts. So again, whether God is sharing titles of entire books or just chapters, can I expand on it and by how much? Like if I get to a point and I'm like, well, I only got like 500 words from this one prompt, this ain't a book. It's not a book. This is a chapter. So we're going to call it what it is a chapter. And we got to figure out, where does this live? Does that make sense? Okay, we're going to be landing the plane. Oh, so cool. Let's take a pause for a game. I like that. Oh, I built it in already. Yes, good. Okay, so we've been talking a lot. And what I want to do is I want to share this with you, but I want to write. I want to write because I like writing. I love writing. And so this game, I'm going to share my screen. Where are you? This one. And I want to ask where you are. Everybody's at a different place, right? Who here has ever played red light, green light, 1, 2, 3? Anybody ever played red light, green light, 1, 2, 3? Yes. Okay, cool. All right, so if we're all familiar with red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, I want to actually do a fun activity with my screen. So let me set this up properly. Let me get my writing pen. And here we go. Hopefully my daughter didn't steal him. She likes to come and take my stuff. Did she take them? She might have took. No, you plan for everything, and then the one thing you're like, yeah, that's always there. I don't need to look for it. No, I think I do need to look for it. I think she took it. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right.
At some point before we disconnect, can I get the name of your financial advisor? Because that's what everything that you've said so far is something I've prayed on in the past month, and God has said, well, do this, we'll do that. I never expected to meet you at by being invited to the marriage thing from Judy. So this is good.
You muted.
Amen. My daughter's going to get the thing that she done took out of my drawer without permission. And as she does that, I want to try to see if I could do this without the document. Let's see if I can do it. All right. Can you see that? You see the triangle, upside down triangle situation? Okay.
Yes.
So red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. We are going to play a little game, and I'm gonna do my best to not butcher this too bad. I want to see where you all are at different elements of the book writing. And so I have a couple of them. We're going to go through mindset. We're going to go through how is your message? Do you know who you're marketing to? Like all these things to just give you an idea of where you actually are. Because again, I have three objectives. One, I needed you to believe that you could actually do it. So if you have gotten to the space today that you actually believe that you can become a published author this year, not next year, but you can actually do it, I want you to give me a yes in the chat. All right. Thank you, baby. Fantastic. Fantastic. With your guidance. Okay. That's what we're here for. All right. I got it. All right. So your mindset. Red is no. Yellow is maybe. And green is yes. Good to go. In terms of your mindset for writing this book, where are you? Red, yellow, green. You're gonna put it in the chat. Red, yellow, or green. Actually, let's make this faster. Go ahead, unmic, and then just tell me verbally. And I'm actually gonna color it in.
Green.
So red, yellow, or green, because I have to switch between two screens.
I'm green.
Greens.
My brain wants to say maybe. Again, I'm coloring it with all that what I don't know. But as I hear you speak, I can see the green just going.
All right.
All the way.
So we got green all the way. Green. Mindset green. All right. So let's go to the next slide. If I can figure out how to get there, we're going to get there. It's going to be great. I'm excited. 2. Okay. So reader avatar. How clear are you on who you are writing this book to? Red, yellow, green.
Green.
Melissa?
Green.
Okay, green. Yay. Another green one. Actually, let's go to the end. You guys are smart. All right, so green mindset. Let's see all these. All right. How clear are you on the 3 main struggles that your reader avatar has? So again, I told you that we have a pain island we're starting at, and then a pleasure island we're finishing at. And so those 3 milestones that they have in the middle, how clear are you with those 3 main struggles that your reader avatar has? And if you're not, again, Red.
Wait, can you repeat that? It was the pain
So
to
pain to pleasure island,
pain to
and then
pleasure
there are
island.
3 milestones. So like there are 3 kind of heavy lifts that they'll have in order to get there. So I started today with sharing that my intentions were threefold. One, help you change your mindset about being able to be a published author. The second one was to show you step by step what it took for you to actually get there. So, and my third one was to provide you with an opportunity to get the resources and the help that you needed. I have three lifts. How clear are you on your avatar's 3 main struggles?
Oh, those are the 3 struggles.
Yes.
Okay. 2 and 3.
So if you put it that way, I would say 3.
So
green.
it's again, we're talking red, yellow, green. Yellow
Green,
is like 2 out of 3.
I'm yellow.
Green is 3 out of 3, and red is like kind of
I'm
on
yellow.
1.
Yellow. 2
Yellow.
out of 3.
I got a yellow.
I said the green.
Melissa's green. How are you, Diane? Yellow?
Yellow.
All right. So we got 2 different colors this time. Okay. All right. What colors do these 2 make? Let's see how we do this. All right. Let's see. Okay. Well, yellow and green supposed to make blue. Not today.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, maybe if you put more, more yellow.
I know, right? Your story framework. How clear are you on how you plan to set up your story? So again, I shared with you that 7 kind of breakdown format that I have for when I write. How clear are you on your story framework? You know where Pain Island is, you know where Pleasure Island is, you kind of know spaces in between, climax, right? The resolution, you know that.
Oh,
I guess I would say red on that. The story frame not so, you know.
Yeah, red 2 for me.
okay. If it's started from beginning to end, writing a poem, a story, a chapter, I'm green. But what do you do with all of those papers? Who do you give them to? Because I edit. Who do you give them to get them published? That's where I'm missing. But if Pain Island to Pleasure Island is the structure of whatever you write, whether it's poetry, prose, anything, I'm fine. I'm green.
All right. Okay, so gonna need some help with that one. All right. How clear are you on your message, on what you're trying to share with your reader? If I were to ask you, I turn over your book, I look at the back page, and it shares with me, what is this book about? How clear are you on your message?
Green.
Red, yellow, green.
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 Yellow.
Well, for one that I'm thinking about green.
Okay.
For others, not so much.
Yeah, I have two definite. One, I'm like, yeah. So that's why I'm going with yellow.
Okay. All right. When I asked you to write down the purpose of you writing this book, how clear were you with being able to express your why?
Green.
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 All right. So that's good, because if you weren't green, then that's a problem. Because if you don't know why you're doing it, again, you're not going to finish. So, amen. I didn't want to tell you that before you told me your response, but yes, if you no green, no good. Okay. All right. Experiences. How clear are you on the experiences that you have and how they are able to help other people? Red, yellow, green.
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 All right, good. That's important too. Time. Do you have at least 30 minutes a day to carve out to get working on this book? Diane, you're a little different because you got like 75 books in a box. So
It's still green. I
Yes,
make
green.
time to write.
there you go. Melissa,
4 o'clock.
Eugenia.
Oh, I said
Green?
green. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, green. The way you put it, 30 minutes, green.
All right.
The text will work for me. I love to talk myself.
Okay, so outcome. You know why you're writing this book. How clear are you on where you're trying to get to? And what I mean by that is when I wrote my first book, my intention was to be able to share it on stage. God blessed me with that opportunity. I got to share in front of, I think, 250 women at LaGuardia the same year I published my first book.
Oh,
Nice.
beautiful.
Right. So I knew what I wanted this book to open up for me. Like I knew where I was going. I knew what the outcome, like I knew it. And so how clear are you on your outcome? Like you want this book to be able to help you do start a
Good.
course, income, share your history, your lineage, right? Like prevent other people from having to go through your same, like what is your outcome?
Hey, I'm
Hitting
green.
the
Yeah,
nail
I'm
on the
green.
head. All of the above. All of the above.
Everybody's green?
Green.